If these words have found their way to you today, understand that this moment is not random. It is not the result of chance, luck, or some accidental sequence of events. In many ways, it is a response to something your heart has been asking for in silence. Deep within you, beneath the doubts you rarely speak about, there is a longing for clarity. There is a part of you searching for reassurance, especially at a time when uncertainty has begun to weigh heavily on your spirit. Before discouragement convinces you to let go, there is something important you need to remember. You have tried to move forward. You have attempted to act as though this chapter has already closed. On the surface, you may have convinced yourself that everything has ended and that there is nothing left to hold on to. Yet beneath that calm exterior, a question continues to echo through your thoughts. You still wonder about this connection. You still wonder what it means. And more importantly, you wonder where it is leading. Some questions cannot be answered through logic alone. Some answers arrive through timing, intuition, and forces greater than our immediate understanding. What you need to hear now is becoming impossible for you to ignore. Stop questioning the depth of what you feel. Stop telling yourself that your emotions are somehow too intense, or that you have imagined the significance of this bond. What lives within your heart is genuine. This connection is not built upon fantasy or wishful thinking. It reaches deeper than ordinary attraction. It carries a meaning that goes beyond surface-level experiences and temporary emotions. What joins you to this person is something that touches the soul. The message that matters most today is simple. Do not give up. You are closer than you realize to a shift that has been unfolding quietly for a long time. While you may not be able to see it yet, countless circumstances are aligning in ways you cannot fully understand. Energy is moving. Pieces are being arranged. Changes are taking place beyond your current view. That inner feeling that something important is approaching is not there by accident. The fact that this story continues to live within you, that thoughts of this person continue to return no matter how much time passes, carries meaning. Their presence remains alive within your awareness for a reason. This is not necessarily a sign of obsession or unhealthy attachment. It is a signal. It is a reminder. It is an inner knowing that cannot be manufactured through force or imagination. Some connections carry a purpose that survives silence, distance, and even long periods of separation. Time may alter circumstances, but it cannot erase what is meant to be understood. That is why your first step today is to release the belief that distance means failure. What appears distant in the physical world is not always distant on a deeper level. The connection between two souls does not depend entirely upon proximity. There are bonds that continue to exist even when communication fades and circumstances create space between two people. The emptiness you sometimes feel is not proof that the connection is gone. In many ways, it reflects the significance of what has been shared. Absence has a way of revealing what truly matters. The person connected to your heart carries their own experiences, fears, and uncertainties. They may not express everything openly. They may hide behind hesitation or attempt to suppress what they feel. Yet what remains hidden from human eyes is never hidden from the greater intelligence guiding this journey. There is a reason this connection entered your life. There is a reason it continues to occupy space within your heart. This is not a passing desire that appeared without purpose. It touches something far more meaningful and spiritual than ordinary circumstances can explain. Soon enough, signs will begin appearing with greater clarity. you will start recognizing evidence that what you feel has not existed in isolation. But before those confirmations arrive, it is important to understand what is happening beneath the surface. The future of this story is shaped less by outward action and more by your inner state of trust. Your strength right now is not found in chasing answers or forcing outcomes. It is found in remaining grounded while allowing life to unfold naturally. Stay steady, not because you are waiting impatiently, not because you need immediate proof, but because genuine trust understands that what is truly meant for you cannot simply disappear. What belongs in your life will find its way toward you. What is aligned with your path cannot be permanently taken away. Listen carefully to your intuition. That quiet voice within you continues to whisper for a reason. It keeps reminding you that something meaningful still exists beneath the surface. Instead of dismissing it, allow yourself to honor what it is trying to show you. There is someone whose thoughts return to you more often than you realize. There is someone whose feelings run deeper than they openly admit. And what you are beginning to understand now may only be the beginning of a much larger realization. As you absorb this message, allow yourself to move beyond confusion and into deeper awareness. The silence surrounding you does not mean you have been abandoned. The distance does not mean you are walking this path alone. The emotions you carry are not illusions created by hope. They are reflections of something real within your experience. If life brought the two of you together, if your paths crossed in a way that continues to leave an imprint on your heart, then there may be a purpose extending beyond what logic can currently explain. Perhaps there have been moments when you felt you were giving more than you received. Perhaps you have wondered whether you were holding on to something that was slowly fading away. But sometimes what appears to be disappearing is actually transforming. Sometimes uncertainty is not the end of a story. It is simply the stage before understanding arrives. And often, the greatest truths remain hidden until the moment we are finally ready to see them. The reality is that you are not wandering through this experience without guidance. There is a greater intelligence at work, and it would not place a love this powerful inside your heart, only to leave you lost and without direction. When your thoughts continually return to the same person, it is not necessarily because your mind refuses to move on. It is because something deeper continues to call your attention back to this connection. So ask yourself this: why does this connection still occupy space within you? Why does their presence remain alive in your thoughts? Why has this story refused to disappear despite everything that has happened? The answer may be simpler than you think. Because the connection is still alive. What resonates with your soul cannot vanish overnight. What is deeply woven into your journey does not suddenly lose its significance because circumstances become complicated. Misunderstandings, pauses, and periods of separation may change the appearance of the relationship, but they do not necessarily erase its deeper meaning. That is why the part of you that refuses to forget should not automatically be viewed as weakness. It may be a reminder from your soul that this experience carries importance beyond what logic can fully explain. There is often a vast difference between what the eyes perceive and what the soul senses. The eyes focus on visible reality. They see distance, silence, unanswered questions, and behavior that appears detached or indifferent. But the soul notices something else. And the universe continually whispers the same message. Do not judge the entire story by what appears on the surface. The person connected to you may seem distant. They may appear emotionally unavailable, guarded, or disconnected. Yet beneath that exterior, there can be feelings they struggle to understand, express, or even acknowledge. Love does not always reveal itself in predictable ways. Sometimes it retreats, sometimes it hides. Sometimes it protects itself behind walls built from fear and uncertainty. This person may think about you far more often than they would ever admit. They may notice your absence in unexpected moments. A memory may suddenly return while they are going about their day. A familiar conversation may replay in their mind. A photograph may appear that they cannot quite bring themselves to delete. A passing reminder may stop them in their tracks, and with those moments comes a feeling they cannot easily explain. Even when they attempt to move forward, something continues pulling their attention back. If you have convinced yourself that they are completely unaffected, that may not be the full truth. If you believe they have forgotten everything, reality may be far more complicated. Some memories remain, some emotions linger. Certain connections continue echoing long after people try to silence them. There are moments when thoughts of you arise unexpectedly within them. Moments when they pause, reflect, and remember. Whether those moments are spoken aloud or kept hidden, they still exist. But how can you tell whether this connection remains active? How can you recognize its influence in your own experience? Many people describe what feels like an invisible emotional exchange between two individuals who remain deeply connected. Sometimes it arrives as a wave of emotion that seems to appear from nowhere. You may suddenly feel sadness, longing, or nostalgia without any obvious reason. Everything in your day appears normal, yet a powerful feeling emerges unexpectedly. At other times, a memory of this person enters your mind with remarkable clarity. You could be focused on something entirely unrelated, when suddenly their face, their voice, or a specific moment shared together appears vividly before you. These experiences often feel impossible to explain logically. They arrive without invitation and demand your attention. The connection can also seem to express itself through physical sensations. You may notice a feeling of warmth spreading through your chest. A sense of energy may suddenly rise within you. Music can become another messenger. A song connected to a memory suddenly begins playing. A melody you've never heard before somehow reminds you of them instantly. Lyrics appear at precisely the moment you needed to hear them. Whether through music, memories, emotions, or intuition, life has a curious way of drawing attention toward what remains significant. There may be evenings when this person falls asleep thinking about you. There may be moments when a memory of you unexpectedly tightens their chest. They may remain silent outwardly while carrying emotions inwardly. And while human beings can hide many things from one another, the deeper truth always remains visible to the forces guiding their growth. That is why you should pay attention when your intuition becomes stronger than usual, when you sense movement beneath the surface despite appearances, when something inside you quietly insists that the story is not finished. This does not automatically mean obsession. It does not automatically mean dependence. Sometimes it simply means awareness. Sometimes it means your inner self recognizes something before your conscious mind can explain it. The universe often communicates through subtle signs rather than dramatic announcements. It nudges rather than shouts. And through those small reminders, you may begin to realize that certain connections continue living beneath the surface long after they appear dormant. The feelings involved here are not simple. They are often conflicted. They can challenge both people involved. This kind of love frequently struggles against fear, uncertainty, and resistance. It attempts to understand emotions that seem larger than ordinary explanations. Your presence may have touched something profound within this person, something they still have not fully understood themselves. And that is why surrendering to hopelessness serves no purpose. At this point, we have already explored the possibility that what you feel is not merely imagination, but something your intuition continues to recognize as meaningful. Naturally, another question follows. Why has this connection endured for so long? Why has neither time nor distance been able to erase it completely? Many spiritual traditions describe this through the idea of a soul agreement. The belief is that some encounters are not random events, but meaningful intersections designed to encourage growth, transformation, and awakening. From this perspective, certain people enter our lives carrying lessons, opportunities, and purposes that extend beyond ordinary relationships. Their arrival changes us. Their presence challenges us. Their influence pushes us toward deeper understanding. Such connections are not always easy. In fact, they are often among the most difficult experiences we encounter. Yet they remain significant because they serve a purpose larger than comfort alone. When two people are brought together for profound growth, the connection tends to persist until its deeper lessons have been learned and integrated. That is why attempts to forget sometimes feel unsuccessful. That is why moving on can seem far more complicated than expected. Something unfinished continues calling for attention, and perhaps that persistence itself is what makes the connection feel so undeniable. Ordinary attachments often fade naturally, but meaningful encounters leave lasting marks. What is purely human may sometimes break under pressure. What is deeply aligned with your growth often proves far more resilient. The universe does not place important lessons in your path carelessly. It does not introduce transformative connections without reason. The love you feel may be about far more than romance alone. It may be part of a greater process of growth, healing, awakening, and self-discovery. And that is why distance alone cannot destroy it, because what began at a deeper level cannot always be ended by circumstances on the surface. The reason their presence continues to live within you, despite every effort to let go, is that something deeper still recognizes the significance of this connection. It is as if a part of your soul remembers what your conscious mind sometimes tries to forget. The memory remains because it carries meaning, continually drawing your attention back to a truth that has not yet fully revealed itself. When a connection keeps resurfacing in your thoughts, it can feel like an anchor linking you to something important. The universe often uses these reminders to keep you aligned with a lesson, purpose, or path that still has more to teach you. One thing to understand is that destiny rarely unfolds through confusion. What appears to be uncertainty is often preparation. What feels like a delay may actually be a necessary pause. The universe does not place experiences in your life without purpose. If silence has entered this story, it does not automatically mean the end. Sometimes silence creates space for unseen changes to take place. The connection does not disappear. It stretches, it evolves, but its essence remains. What feels like an endless wait may simply be the time needed for healing and transformation. Sometimes people create distance not because they do not care, but because they must face parts of themselves they have avoided for years. The silence that hurts is not always the language of indifference. Often, it is the language of overwhelm. There are times when people experience emotions so powerful that they struggle to process them. Instead of moving closer, they retreat. Instead of expressing what they feel, they become quiet. They seek safety in distance because vulnerability feels too overwhelming. You may understand the depth of this connection. They may not. The intensity of what they feel creates an inner conflict they do not yet know how to navigate. Their silence may not be a rejection of love. It may be an attempt to regain control over emotions that feel larger than they can manage. What they are truly fighting is not the connection itself. It is fear. Fear of vulnerability. Fear of uncertainty. Fear of being hurt again. Part of them wants to move closer. Another part urges caution. And so they remain caught between desire and resistance. This is why silence often becomes the battlefield where transformation begins. Even during this period, life continues moving. Memories return. Lessons repeat. Awareness grows. Slowly, the absence of your presence becomes something they can no longer ignore. People often try to fill emotional emptiness with distractions, but when a connection carries real significance, temporary substitutes rarely bring lasting relief. Instead, they highlight what is missing. That is why silence should not always be interpreted as proof that love has disappeared. Sometimes it is evidence that a person is confronting wounds they have never fully healed. Many of these fears originate in the past. Old disappointments, old heartbreaks, old experiences that taught them to expect loss. This connection awakens those memories and forces them to confront unresolved pain. Their journey becomes one of transformation. Many spiritual traditions describe this as a dark night of the soul, a period when old fears and limiting beliefs rise to the surface so they can finally be released. Though painful, this process serves a purpose. It exposes hidden fears, it encourages growth, and it creates the possibility of a more authentic form of love. The darkness is not punishment. It is purification. Layer by layer, old defenses begin to fall away. When they return to themselves, it is meant to happen from a place of greater wholeness, not dependency. You become both a challenge and a catalyst for them. Their ego may resist the process, but a deeper part of them continues recognizing the truth of what this connection represents. At the same time, this journey is transforming you. While they learn courage, you learn trust. While they face fear, you learn patience. While they discover vulnerability, you develop inner stability. The universe is shaping both of you at once, one toward bravery, the other toward peace. The goal is not reunion born from desperation. It is reunion born from balance. This brings us to an important realization. If reunion is part of the greater design of this connection, then your relationship with faith becomes essential. Fear creates resistance. Trust creates openness. Doubt narrows possibilities. Confidence expands them. When you focus entirely on absence, you reinforce the experience of absence. When you remain rooted in trust, you create space for possibilities to unfold naturally. Your inner dialogue matters because the thoughts you repeat become the atmosphere in which your future grows. The next stage of this journey requires something many people misunderstand. It requires letting go. Not letting go of love, not letting go of hope, but letting go of control. There is a profound difference. When fear drives us to chase, monitor, or force outcomes, we create resistance. But when trust replaces fear, everything changes. Letting go means trusting that what is meant for you does not require constant pursuit. It means allowing life to unfold without trying to control every step. Many people pursue energetically without realizing it, not through actions alone, but through obsessive thoughts, constant checking, and emotional fixation. The practice of detachment calls you back to yourself, back to your growth, back to your peace, back to your own life. As you invest energy into your healing and purpose, something shifts. You become grounded, confident, and whole. From that place, your energy naturally becomes magnetic. The message you send is simple. I am complete. I am at peace. I trust what is meant for me. This state removes pressure, fear, and resistance. In that openness, authentic connection can finally breathe. The deeper purpose of this separation becomes clearer through this lens. The distance was not necessarily punishment. It may have been preparation. When you first met, both of you likely carried old fears and unconscious patterns into the connection. Without growth, those patterns could have weakened something meaningful. So life created space. Space for reflection. Space for healing. Space for transformation. This separation became a classroom for the soul. You learned how to value yourself independently of another person's presence. They learned how to face their fears without hiding from them. Through absence, both of you gained a deeper understanding of what this connection truly means. The universe sometimes slows meaningful connections until both people are ready to meet each other differently, not as they once were, but as who they are becoming. As that transformation nears completion, signs often begin to appear. Intuition grows stronger. Unexpected peace emerges. Synchronicities become more noticeable. The feeling that something is shifting becomes difficult to ignore. Perhaps the strongest sign of all is when fear begins losing its power. And when that moment arrives, it will feel less like chance and more like the natural completion of a path that has been unfolding all along.